So guys, hey, see, I think at least would have been the end, right? Or what you would have thought before would have been the end, but I haven't read some Dante's notes, so I'm like, hey, you know what? Put it all in one, smack them all together, and that should be it anyways. Yeah, looks like there's a lot of them here, Mephistopheles, eh? Record 1. Mephistopheles, it's our mobile office, our home, and our vehicle. The sinners and I eat, sleep, go to work, and fight here. It looks like a mix of a train and a bus, but everyone calls it a bus for the same reason. I guess it makes sense, considering our department's name. Apparently it's powered by an engine that Faust designed. Everything about Mephistopheles comes from its engine. Not only does it power the vehicle so that the bus can drive us to places, but it also let us extract identities from other worlds. We can also enter break rooms or training rooms via its back door. All thanks to the engine. It seems Mephistopheles can be upgraded and fitted with additional functions. I think one of the sinners said it's like the bus itself is growing or something. I don't remember who said it though. Me neither, man, me neither. Record number 2. The bus really transformed into a boat. I guess this is what the additional functions meant. Further modifications and performance upgrades were made possible by using both the Resonance Tuning Fork and Mephistopheles engine. That make a person was in a constant state of astonishment, now that I think about it. Heck, it's bigger on the inside than it is outside. I won't be surprised if all kinds of fantastical functions get added to it in the future. That'd be interesting, alright. Oh. There's a lot. Sure, fine. Excavation dungeons, record number 1. One of the dungeon types we can enter via the back door. Once we enter, there is a training ticket excavation dungeon to the left, and the spread excavation dungeon to the right. Looks like we can gather resources to strengthen the sinners by battling abnormalities or enemies we faced in the past. We have to spend ink found to enter these, since they also require Mephistopheles engines to operate. Here are dungeons. They're dungeons we can access via the back door. The corridor that leads to the mirror dungeon is made of cold, heavy metal. It inspires a different kind of anxiety from our usual wooden doors and corridors. At first, there was just a single door leading to a mirror dungeon while the others were shut. A second door opened at some point though, but now we've got 2. Considering that Faust let us know when the doors would open, I'm gonna guess that there are specific conditions for them to open. Or maybe they follow a certain schedule. Technically they do, right? Whenever I enter a mirror dungeon, I emerge to a place resembling a misty cosmos. I can choose which sinners to bring with me into each of the mirror dungeons. Identities, yep. Record number 2. According to Faust, Mephistopheles' engine actively stabilizes the mirror dungeons we're allowed to enter via the back door. Their ultimate purpose seems to be to improve mine and the sinner's capabilities. Faust recommended that we make frequent visits to the mirror dungeons of the back door, even if it meant expanding expound used for the engine. Do that for sure. Railway Refraction Line 1. Though it's closed now, we've been to this station before. The whole place had a bluish tint to it. We encountered and fought some familiar faces, but many of the abnormalities in there were entities we hadn't encountered in the lobotomy core branches so far. I recall that we've interacted with some of these abnormalities before in the mirror dungeons. Faust says that our interaction with them in the mirror dungeons were through some kind of spaces. They're mental spaces and worlds, that is. I guess the railway happened to stop by one of those worlds. And maybe it's not a simulation. I don't know. Railway Refraction number 2. This place has a greenish tint, unlike line 1 with its blue hue. I bet the next one will be a different color, and so on and so forth. Let's make it red. I hope red. Again, we fought some more abnormalities we'd only had glimpses of before. Everyone cheered when they saw that line 2 had way fewer stations than line 1 did, until you noticed some symbols on the wall and see arrive that we were supposed to run this line multiple times. Yes, we were. A new station was added with each new cycle, though we still had to go through the earlier stations first. Around the time we were on our 4th cycle, Heathcliff began loudly complaining that he was tired of doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Some sinners seemed to grow increasingly restless as well, but the crisis was averted thanks to Yi Sang, who said that the sign seemed to say that the 5th cycle was the last one they had to complete. Once we wrapped up our 5th cycle, we were able to find a large hoard of various resources from the lost and found. From what I can tell, each line's going to have different routes and conditions to completing them. Oh no, what's it going to be next time? Hoping it's too difficult. Because You need to get like under a certain amount, you get like the, you know, the proper, the proper banners or whatever, right? Oh no. Whatever. Refraction Railways, Record 1. A place we can access using the back door. Record tells me that it looks a lot like the city subway stations. It looks pretty dilapidated, as though it's been here for a long time. There's what appears to be a subway train on the rails. The subway train kind of resembles our Mephistopheles, except it looks like it's been left to rot for a long time. The subway train didn't budge with just one sinner inside it. When the other sinners joined, however, the doors closed all on its own and began taking us somewhere. The sinners told me that it took us to the next stop. What I can tell from my experience here so far is that each station led to a different environment, some of which were places we've been to in the past. The door closes behind us once we get off the subway train onto a new station. Then, an abnormality or some enemies attack us with no rhyme or reason, leading to an immediate combat. Once the fight's over, the subway's train door opens again. Once we're all aboard, it takes us to the next stop, rinse and repeat until we reach the terminus. Yep, over and over and over again. You need record. Oh no. Next we're always gonna have the Picard fight. Oh no, that's gonna be a pain. Like, you know, boss Picard's fairly easy. The one where it's like, you know, Ishmael's friend, and, oh no, the one that has Ishmael's friend, the captain, and the other one, they're all together. Pain. When, like, you know, when it's just that one person, not too bad. But when it's just the captain with her, weird, calcified arm thingy, not too bad, but whatever. This tells me that they appear to be like simulations, or series of locations generated in order to improve our capabilities, akin to the functions of mirror dungeons or the excavation dungeons from the back door. That makes sense. We encountered enemies like Cromer in there, but all they did was fight us. Maybe they're also just simulations after all. Not sure if it's putting us through a very realistic simulation, or if it's actually taking us to where the abnormalities reside. I still don't know enough about this place to say for sure. Once we made it to the end of the subway route, we were allowed to return to the bus via one of the stations. One of the sinners was furious, complaining that it sent us on a wild goose chase for absolutely nothing, until he saw Faust popping open the lost and found box and picking up a whole hoard of resources. Yes sir. The back door, Record 1. A door on the back end of Mephistopheles. Past it is a corridor full of doors connected to each sinner's private lodgings or break rooms. The sinners tell me that each room has a unique look and different interior designs. Faust explained that they may be reflections of each sinner's personal psyche or memories. There are more people on this bus than the number of doors we actually use, but the ones we do use can lead to different spaces depending on who opens them first. Two sinners could enter the same door, only to end up in different rooms, for example. Yeah, like mirror world or whatever. But you have to have direction, you have to know where you're going, else it goes bad. Yeah. The doors are labeled with names, noting whose room they lead to. There are also doors that just lead to the other side of the walls they're on. Record number 2. The door to my room opens to a corridor leading to the mirror dungeons and the excavation dungeons. I can see that the corridor past the back door extends beyond the area we use, but somebody put a sign there warning us not to trespass. We almost had a huge accident when Heathcliff tried to go past this threshold in spite of warnings. Oh yeah, he felt like he almost fell in. Something tells me that there are dangerous things or territories in the deeper parts of the corridor. Heathcliff's panicked face is still fresh in my memory, and Faust's uncharacteristic urgency too. Rosha calls this endless space a corridor. I can tell that she's not talking about just any corridor. But what else could she possibly be talking about? I wonder if she's part of the sum or something then. I mean, how she act, definitely possible. Oh god, even nest, fine. Record number 3 of Cave Corp, sure. So many records. I think we already did record 1 and 2, I think. I don't know. Yeah, we have. Okay then, sure. I didn't quite understand why they were flying a bunch of drones around the city, filming scenes of death and pain, but it looks like there was a reason for all that. I learned something about K-Corp's nest while carrying out the request, but I'm not sure if it's okay for me to leave a record of them. Okay, below are some information that I'm not supposed to write down, but I wanted to record it anyway. Here goes nothing. Who knows? One day even I might end up forgetting everything. They explained that HP ampules were actually infinitesimally tiny nanobots helping regenerate the body. Apparently they were so small that a collection of them just happened to look like some green fluid. But none of that was true. They weren't anything even remotely close to nanobots. The ampules were just filled with some green fluid. K-Corp's HP bullets, also known as regeneration ampules, aren't like ointment. It returns the body of the person injected with it to a form they remember as being unhurt. Oh, so much. Stefan, K-Corp's founder, went to the outreaches of the outskirts and brought back this organism they call the Tearful Thing, from which they extract the fluid. I think that Tearful Thing was once a human from what I've seen through resonating with the golden bow. It seems like their wish was that no one would ever suffer from pain again, and that wish was granted, in some form, anyway. Theoretically speaking, its tears can heal literally any part of a body as long as its brain is intact. Just like its name, the Tearful Thing sheds tears when it feels sorrow, and by processing or watering down its tears are the ampules K-Corp Singularity made. At first, the founder Stefanette drew its tears by sharing sad or emotional stories, but once she passed away, those who seized power afterward buried it in a constant stream of violent, shocking imageries to produce its tears more efficiently. That's why the drones were filming people's deaths, so that they could force the Tearful Thing to watch those violent and shocking tragedies. Looks like making it watch the same tragedy over and over isn't as efficient. They have to keep feeding it new, different scenes of violence. That's why they're importing similar footage from the other nests. They were planning to use a glass window tech similar to the mirror to give it a constant supply of footage, but our involvement seemed to have thwarted that. Considering what the Tearful Thing is, after all, an organism, it also seems to be capable of producing offsprings. Alfonso called the one we saw a child entity. I don't know how, but if I were to hazard a guess, I'd say that they're trying to improve their production rates by using the Tearful Thing's children. Yikes. I'm only a little curious, but I wonder what would happen if a prosthetics user were to be injected with a K-Corp ampule. We learned everything about their singularity, from its origins to its production methods, but after they put us through the memory wipe procedure, I'm the only one who remembers it. I decided to lay low and pretend that the procedure worked. Even with my limited knowledge of the city, I felt like that this information was probably pretty important. I usually don't show these notes to the sinners anyways, but I'll have to be extra careful about it from now on. Lobotomy Corp. Full name Lobotomy Corp, yeah. I think we already read this here. Lobotomy Corporation, here we go. Yeah, I heard that. Record number 2, here we go. Looks like they left behind some of the ego equipment the Lobotomy Corp branches once used to manage their abnormalities. I think there are some conditions and risks using those ego equipment, like the weapons or the armor, like in Wonder Lab or whatever. Yeah, where they get corrupted by it and it consumes them, and then they become like an abnormality or whatever themselves. Kind of. Whatever. Makes sense, since they're extracted from the abnormalities that Lobotomy Corp used to manage. They also seem to affect their users' mood or speech patterns, like with some Ishmael that are like a release of fairy mind. Considering that they're made from abnormalities, they might pose a problem during our future visits to the Lobotomy Corp branches. I don't think they attack, though I think it's fine. T-Corp, located in District 20's nest. Looks like they specialize in using temporal technology. I've only experienced T-Corp through resonating with the golden bow. I've never actually been to T-Corp nest before, so I'm not sure how true to life that experience was. They seem to value technology and inventions. The whole nest is literally monochromatic. I think having any color is a privilege permitted only to those with power. Black fumes constantly spewing out of numerous buildings have darkened its skies. U-Corp, located in District 21's nest. They use a singularity called the Resonance Tuning Fork. It can meld together two items of entirely different nature into one, as though they've always been a part of each other. Somehow, the power of the Resonance Tuning Fork melded guns and monstrous crabs called trash crabs together. They could use those melded firearms as though they were naturally born with them. Luckily, they were fairly easy to beat them, luckily. Oh, how much you had to farm just to get all the heckin' scrap. Oh my gosh, that's pain. Whatever. U-Corp is scattered across the Great Lake, with most of its major institutions located on its surface, which means that we're in dire need of a ship if we want which means we're in dire need of a ship if we want to go anywhere in Newcorp. So we got Mephistopheles modified into a ship using the resonance tuning fork. Seems to me that it overlapped this other region called the Outskirts. Fixers, sure. You need to pass him, yeah. Offices, here we go. I knew it. The associations aren't the only kind of organizations a fixer might work for. Some of them might also work for offices. They all seem to specialize in different things. Just like the fixers themselves. Just like there was the, I forget what it was called exactly, but there was a... Robert Bruna, there was a... contract office or whatever. Sync associations, sure. But there is a... Yeah, I did. The Sync Association. They seem to specialize in single combat and dueling requests. Though it doesn't happen often, I hear there are still cases of people trying to settle disputes with a fair and honorable duel. When a person gets involved in a duel or has to challenge someone to it, it figures their opponent will clearly tear them a new airway. They send this association a request. It sounds like they stand in for the client or something. All I know about this association comes from what I heard from the 7 association identities, so I couldn't learn much. Since the association doesn't get requests too often, it seems to be in charge of holding joint conferences and events with other associations as well. Oh my gosh, so many. AVAT Association. They seem to specialize in delivery and transportation. The city is full of dangers around every corner, so it's extremely difficult to deliver important items or information to the intended recipients on time without losing it in the process. Yi Sang told me that while the city may appear minuscule in the bird's eye view that the map avails one, an approach that contemplates its surface area and not but a single surface of it shows a world vastly different. The city is tight with brimming buildings in both heaven and earth. Their labyrinthine construction and the singularities paint a picture hidden a forest screen. I wasn't sure what he was talking about, so I just nodded along. Yeah. DC Association. They seem to specialize in the collection of and research of knowledge. Raw use. They say the association members use equipment that draws physical strength from knowledge. The harder to obtain and more precious the knowledge is, the greater strength it grants its users. Looks like they lose the knowledge once they draw the strength from it, however. Looks like they've got fixers who fight with their fists and fixers who fight with their keys. What? Yeah, I don't know anything about the keys. I know Region fought with her fists. Didn't see any other DC though. 7 Association. They seem to specialize in collecting intelligence. Intelligence knowledge. I thought they'd be pretty similar to the DC Association, but one of the identities explained their differences to me. While 7 Association specializes in using whatever means to collect intelligence that they have been contracted to find, DC Association specializes in making the found knowledge their own by analyzing and deconstructing them. Still, I bet they have a lot of overlap given their similar specializations. Wouldn't be surprised if the DC hired 7 Associations sometime for knowledge. Whatever, workshops here, record number 1. They specialize in building and modifying gears used by fixers. Technically, they go under the same umbrella as the offices. Unlike the fixer offices with various specializations though, people refer to these specifically as workshops. Primarily, they craft and sell weapons, armor, and other tools that fixers use. Sometimes they're contracted to build custom gear as well, at least that's the impression I got. Considering that they're also run by fixers, workshops don't shy away from taking contracts involving combat if they have to. Like the Earthbound Workshop did, for example. Oh wait, they were Workshop? Oh yeah, I guess they were. Study technology, memory wipe procedure, here we go. A technology used to wipe specific memories. I recall that we took turns entering some room. The procedure ended when the sinners walked out with all the relevant memories wiped. Odd. I remember everything that Keiko wanted me to forget, but that room, I can't remember anything about the memory wipe procedure itself. This leaves me with so many questions. Why didn't the procedure work on me? If it didn't work, why can't I remember anything about the memory wipe procedure itself? Because, like, the memories are associated with the golden bow instead. How was the memories there? Not too sure. Outskirts, here we go. Looking at the map, there's a zone outside the general area where the nests are. That zone's called the outskirts. There are monsters at the outskirts. Ishmael noticed called them monsters and not abnormalities. Considering Considering that they've encountered abnormalities before, I'm going to guess that there are monstrous things out there that aren't abnormalities. Well, it's not like we'll ever have to visit the outskirts. I doubt even Lobotomy Corp would build a branch outside the city. The library. I want to go to the library. Oh, whatever. Well, whatever. I just remembered that Ishmael said that the Great Lake overlapped with the outskirts of the Great Lake. A massive lake at the south end of the city. Some call it the sea or the ocean. Wait. Ishmael said that the Great Lake overlaps with the outskirts, so that's how the whales got there. Oh. Whatever, okay. Great Lake, Record 1. A massive lake at the south end of the city. Some call it the sea or the ocean. The Great Lake isn't just one big pool of water. It's divided by straight lines into several smaller sections, all of which have unique colors. I've seen only a little bit of it, but it reminds me of patchwork fabric. According to Ishmael, looks like the Great Lake's chock full of treacherous natural disasters and monsters. Even if she's right, that it may be too early for us to go to the Great Lake. It's not like we've got much to say in the matter. Limbus company ordered us to go in that direction, so we gotta. Oh, at least we know how it went. It went very well. I guess that decision's what got us into this mess. I'm still not sure what I'm supposed to do. In a way, I guess we should consider ourselves lucky. Nothing disastrous has happened yet. Maybe we're still in the coastal area Ishmael mentioned. We know how it went. Uncategorized. I'm not sure where to even start. I guess it's only natural, given that I can't tell how much I forgot to begin with. Maybe I'll start by making notes whenever I run into things I don't remember. Monsters at library. Monsters, well, whatever here. I thought all record number 1. I thought all monsters were either abnormalities or distortions, but it seems like the opposite is true. All abnormalities are monsters, but not all monsters are abnormalities, I think. They say that trash crabs are the prime examples of monsters that aren't abnormalities. Those are not so prevalent. I think they're sometimes mentioned in creepy tales or legends of the city. Apparently, the outskirts in the Great Lake are most brimming with these monsters. Still, this means there are monsters within and without the city. And I'm not sure how we'll categorize them yet. The library, record number 1. I only heard it mentioned in passing, but I don't suppose they were talking about just any old library. Pictures from Mollywood Works mentioned this. They said that they went in there, something awful happened, and they turned from a book. I don't know enough about the city to connect these dots or make any meaningful guesses from them. So just write them down. So just write down what I heard and put a pin in it for now. Yeah, the books are very similar. The pages are similar to identities, eh? You put on the certain page or you put on the certain identity and you get their powers. Or resistances and passive and stuff like that, right? It's interesting, whatever. Walpurgis Night, here we go, record number 1. This seems to be a special period when we can extract identities and ego that we normally can't. Though the timelines and the worlds we can access are expanded during this period, it's not like we'll be extracting random identities and ego from all over the place. Faust explained that whoever we end up extracting during this period will be relevant to all of us, relevant to Limbus Company's current state in some way. Walpurgis Night seems to arrive once in a while. As usual, Faust doesn't tell me everything, but at least I could tell that the next Walpurgis Night will be different from this one. Different again, eh? With the Faust explained, it's relevant. It's Faust. So we have to deal with that guy. The hammerhead or whatever. The whack hammer guy. Eventually. Whatever, I think we've read them all. All of Dante notes over there, we're gonna call it for now. I hope we did all the reading here. Peace.